but last but never least, here he is for his season debut this year, the Evil Twin.
Coach, I know that you're from Michigan, and you probably may not be familiar with the fine scientific art of frogging. But in South Louisiana, to go frogging, you have to go out to the rice fields at nighttime with a very bright light. You shine the bright light on the levees, and you'll see two little beady eyes focusing at you. You have to keep the bright light on the frog because he'll be mesmerized by the light, and he will not move. And what you do is you keep the light on him and then grab him from behind to throw him in the sack. There's one very important thing, though, you must remember. When you look at the eyes, they must be 1.5 inches apart. Because if they're 1.5 inches apart, that means that you have a large frog. If you have a frog that has eyes, or you have eyes that are smaller than 1.5 inches, when you reach back to grab them, you will have either a small frog or you will have a snake. So the moral of the story is, never ever hunt for small frogs. So what I have to tell TCU is this. Come Saturday night when the lights are turned on in Cowboy Stadium, I got good news for you. Most of you small tadpoles will be safe. But I also got some other news for the rest of you. The ones that want to act bigger than they are and start croaking real loud and start blowing themselves up to make themselves look bigger, I want to quote Tom Burnett, which said, "We'll leave the lights on for you."
I love that idea.
Coach, I have a question.
But never least, here is the Evil Twin. Right here. He's here.
Coach, Jacob from Bessemer, Alabama writes, quote, like 2000, this will be the biggest upset since Luke Skywalker and the Jedis blew up the Death Star. Darth Miles won't know what hit him. Coach, we have reached a new low. We are being trash-talked by Star Wars geeks. So to Jacob, I want to tell you how the cow ate the cabbage. Number one, it's going to be very difficult for UAB to upset LSU again because we have a far better coach now than we had in 2000. And Jacob, let me put this in words that even you can understand. Our purple and gold Death Star was not designed by an Ole Miss graduate. No, we do not have an exposed sewage pipe for you to throw the photon torpedoes down. You see, come 6 o'clock on Saturday, Jacob, that purple and gold Death Star is going to arrive at Alderaan. And we're going to rock your world, Princess Leia. Coach, I have a question. I was very surprised to see a new fullback emerge at LSU. And he did a really good job, Connor Neighbors. And what I wanted to know was he brought in just for situational, or do you expect him to see more playing time in the future? And how has his development come along?
Connor is a guy that he came on without a scholarship, earned his scholarship, and has continued to improve.
Thank you very much. And now here he is. He's last, but he's never least, the Evil Twin.
Coach, I don't know how your week is going, but my week was crap. Sometimes I'm the windshield. This week I was the bug. But you know what? I find solace in something. And that solace is that I'm a fan of LSU, and I'm part of the LSU Nation. And because of that, I know there's always hope. I know there's always light at the end of the tunnel. And I pity the fools and the other fans who don't have light at the end of the tunnel, don't have any hope. I thank God every day I'm not a Texas A&M fan. Because all they got is male cheerleaders to look at during the game. Heck, they don't even have Golden Girls in their cadet corps. That's what you call the hell that never ends. And I thank God every day that I'm not an Ole Miss fan. They haven't won an SEC championship in anything other than men's tennis in 1972 since Kennedy was president. Their hell never ends either. But most of all, Coach, I thank God every single day that I do not live in Tuscaloosa, Alabama. I just wasted a good meal giving myself indigestion thinking about that horrible thought. That hell never ends either. So when I tell all our enemies and all our foes out there that wonder why I smile every time bad things happen, you know what? Our hell's going to end, but yours isn't. And come every Saturday, the hell whipping will continue. Coach, I have a question. You played a lot of real freshmen this last Saturday. And there's always a lot of speculation now, since a lot of players are now going pro early, juniors going pro. There's always speculation that the reason why more college coaches are playing real freshmen is because of the they need to move the players up or play them, and that the players going pro early is affecting playing and bringing in real freshmen. And so my question to you, has your philosophy changed because players are seem to be going pro early?
Yeah, I think you have to recruit a style of freshman that will have the opportunity to replace those juniors that you might lose. And what happens is it turns to be a 3-year turnaround. You know, freshman, sophomore, junior year, and you know, those guys that are very, very talented, minus a quarterback position, minus an offensive line position.
Never least, here is the evil twin.
Coach, not that I've ever done it before, but one thing I know, it's far easier to sneak into church undetected than it is to sneak out of church undetected. So, Coach Malzahn, you may be a new coach at Auburn, but you have a problem. You see, we in the congregation, we forgive, but we don't forget. We remember Grand Theft Auburn when you had the deflection exception to pass interference. We remember the stomping of the logo in the middle of Tiger Stadium, and we remember smoking cigars in Tiger Stadium. And we remember Damon Duvall hitting our tuba player.
He did?
Coach, on Saturday night, 6:45, we're going to have us. We're going to have us a service just for Coach Malzahn. You see, as it is written, the sins of the father shall be visited upon the son 10,000-fold. You see, Coach Malzahn, you will be brought to atone for your sins. For Gene Chizik, can I have an amen? Coach Malzahn, you're going to be brought to be atoned for your sins for Tommy Tuberville. Can I have a hell yes? Coach, or should I say Reverend, I have a question.
I am listening.
Kendall Beckwith has kind of wandered all about. He's been linebacking. He's been defensive end. Where is Kendall Beckwith going to show up? Where is he going to end up playing?
Both of those two spots. He's a very talented guy, and I think you could see him first and second down lined up in the middle there, and I think on third down.
Now here he is. He is last but never least. Here's the evil twin.
Coach, like this year, 250 years ago, the state of Georgia was overconfident, was mouthing off, and then LSU's first president, William Tecumseh Sherman, burned the damn place down. They asked Sherman, why did you lay waste to the state of Georgia? And he said, because you cannot sanitize war. And so I tell all the people in the state of Georgia, keep running your mouths, keep being overconfident, because at 2:30 p.m. Central Standard Time, 3:30 Eastern, there's not enough Clorox in the state of Georgia to sanitize the butt whipping for which you are about to receive. Coach, I have a question.
Thank you.
We got our friends from Breaux Bridge, my part of the world, where they don't have accents. We have Traven Durrell, and we have Quentin Thomas, didn't play last game. So I wanted to check their status and see how, if we can expect to see them this weekend, what their health status is. You know, Breaux Bridge is an Indian word, Coach. It means committing to LSU.
I think that's exactly what it means. I don't think there's any question. Well, I think both Travian Durrell, I think he had a nice practice today. He continues to improve. I would not be surprised that somebody would make a mistake when we put him on the field and not show him special attention.
Coach, the Federal Republic of Somalia has had an ongoing civil war for the last 30 years. It's so bad that the pirates have taken over the country. There's only been one tourist in Somalia, which was 15 years ago. But they still have a tourism minister who was asked about the tourism problems, and he said, and I quote, I don't know what the problem is. It's not like we kill our tourists every day. I do know that there is one tourism director that has as difficult a time as Somalia, and that would be the tourism director in Starkville, Mississippi. Starkville is an Indian word that means, oh my God, what the hell are we doing out here? And so I have done internet research to find the top 3 Starkville failed tourism advertised campaigns. Number 3, Starkville. It's like Oxford, Mississippi, only with the championships. Number 2, our beautiful beaches are only 200 miles away. And number 1, it's nicer than Auburn. We've got oak trees. Coach, once we get through with them, that dump's going to look like redneck Disney World to us. Coach, I have a question. Anthony Jennings. You know, we have a great quarterback now, but it sounds like we have a really good quarterback coming up in the future. I'd like to know about his potential. How's he developing? And what kind of things can we expect from him?
He's consistently improving. We would expect that he would be a guy that would compete very effectively at what would be the next quarterback spot after Zach. I think there'll be a number of guys there, some guys on our campus and some guys that we're recruiting to LSU, you know, really in this next class that might even arrive in January. So, yeah, I think Anthony Jennings certainly is a guy that will figure in the competition, as will there be some others as well.
But now, as always, he's always last, but he's never least. Here's the evil twin.
Coach, there's a big listening party going on right now at the Behind the Fence Bar in Port Barre, Louisiana. And Amy is staying. She's giving you and Jim both unlimited bar tabs. And since I've never seen y'all drink, you know, I'm helping myself to the bar tab because, you know, I'm very generous with your stuff. Coach, from Fantasyland on the internet, Dave from Orlando writes, we're going to have one of those slow, old-school beatdowns, Florida Gator parties in Tiger Stadium like we used to have when Steve Spurrier was coach. Well, Dave, this is how the cow eats the cabbage. Me and 93,000 of my closest friends have other party plans for Saturday afternoon. You see, we're going to send you out the stadium very quickly, you and your team, with a loss. Faster than Johnny Manziel can sign free autographs. 4,600 of them, all free. Faster than Ole Miss can lose a lead. Faster than Nick Saban can get run out of the NFL. Dave, in the words of the rapper Eminem, we're going to rock this house till we knock it down. So turn the volume loud, because it's mayhem to the AM. Waka waka, wow wow. Coach, I have a question.
Oh, I like the waka waka, yeah. Wow wow. I like that part.
Seems Jarvis Landry had a little nick injury in the game. So we're always worried about him. He's one of my favorite players on the team, so I wanted to know how well is he progressing, and can we expect to see him play on Saturday?
You absolutely can expect to see him play on Saturday. We worked him today. He practiced today, and we expect that he will suit up and play and enjoy a.
Is the evil twin.
Coach, three engineering wonders of the world. The Colossus of Rhodes, the Great Pyramids of Egypt, the Hanging Gardens of Babel. But, Coach, there is a greater mystery in world engineering history. And I state to you, it is in none other than Oxford, Mississippi. Oxford is an Indian word that means you can't get to Atlanta, Georgia from here. Coach, all I'm going to say is this. To all those people, you know, in Oxford, Mississippi, they have a place called the Walk of Champions. The Walk of Champions. How can you have a Walk of Champions if you've never been champions of anything in the Southeastern Conference since Jacqueline Kennedy was in the White House? Since we had that little misunderstanding with the Cubans in the Bay of Pigs. So to the Black Bears, the Yogi Bears, or the Boo Boo Bears, or whatever you are this week, in the sake of truth in advertising, I say in the words of Ronald Reagan in Berlin, Boo Boo Bear, tear down this wall. Coach, I have a question. Ole Miss is claiming, of course we don't know if it's truthful or not, that they have a bunch of injuries on defense throughout the team. My question to you is, as a coach, how does someone else's injuries factor into your preparation and strategy for the game?
Well, it's what we do is we prepare for their best effort and their best players, and we would guess that the backups would be as good, and sometimes, you know, a young guy getting ready to play, can play very, very well there. So we just prepare for their best efforts, and we would guess that the things that by scheme that they would do with their starter, they would do then with their backup. And so we just prepare for what we see, and let's go play. We're
Ever least, here is the evil twin.
Coach, it's come to Jesus time. You know, Coach, I, like most LSU fans, were disappointed in the result. That's normal, that's natural. But you know, the thing in life that I learned is it's moving forward. And you know, when you're watching the movies, you know, in the movies, the heroes are easy to find. They're the ones that pick themselves off the ground, dust themselves off, lead, and they also assist other people, and they fight. And you know what? There's other people in the movie. There's people in the movies that, you know, they whine, they cry, they blame others. Those are what I call the moaners and the groaners in the movie. They don't last very long. They write them out the script very quickly. All this moaning and groaning going on. Woe is me. Poor LSU. We're 6-2. Oh, my God. We're number 13 in America. Oh, my God. We've had one of the greatest winning streaks, most wins over this time period, unprecedented in the history of LSU football, unprecedented in the history of the SEC. But woe is us. Oh, my goodness. And you know, Coach, you know what's else that's so funny? I've been going to games for 31 years, and I must have sleptwalked for the last 12 years, because I learned something new this week. I learned that it's so easy to win in the SEC, that it's so easy to win college football games in the SEC. You know, I must have missed those 5 years during the Nick Saban reign. You know, the first 5 years, some people call it the golden age of LSU football because it was building up. You know what? We won a national title in 2 SEC championships games. But you know what? We lost 16 games in that time period. 16 games. And all I'm going to say is thank God we didn't listen to the moaners and the groaners. Thank God we had heroes in Tiger Stadium. Thank God we had heroes that wore LSU uniforms. Thank God we had heroes in our coaching staff. And you know what, Coach? All I'm going to tell you is this. Come Saturday night at 6 o'clock, I'm going to promise you this. Me in that stadium, we're going to be full of John Waynes in that stadium just for you. And we're going to have plenty of John Waynes just out in purple and gold. You know why? Because this isn't our first rodeo. We're tougher than that. We don't give up. We're called the Fighting Tigers, and we're not the Quitting Tigers. Coach, I have a question.
Exactly right. So.
Coach, I have a question. J.C. Copeland was unable to play last week due to injury. How's his health coming along? Can we expect to see him this game?
He's very improved. He's doing well. I'm not.
He is last, but he's never least. It's the evil twin right here.
Coach, it's open week, and I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired. True story. 1 month ago, the state media in the Republic of Azerbaijan declared the long-term ruling president of the country to have won the election by landslide.
I remember that.
There was only one problem, though, Coach. No one had voted yet.
It happens. It really does. I mean, it's a small populated country, and there's just not a lot of people, and so then nobody voted. But the few votes that were in there, they were all his.
Coach, we should not be surprised because the ruling family controls not only the government, but the media. So to the good people of Azerbaijan, I say, I feel your pain because we have blatant absurdity that's being accepted through conflicts of interest. Here in the Southeastern Conference, you were there. We were over there at the Plains of Auburn when we had Grand Theft Auburn. Bad call after bad call after bad call. And you know what? The instant replay booth never overturned the play. Should we be surprised that the person in charge of the instant replay is an Auburn and an Alabama fan? You were there whenever we played Alabama in Tuscaloosa. We had Mr. Peterson's interception was not overturned by the instant replay booth. Should we not be surprised that the person in charge of the instant replay booth, Mr. Burleson, not only wrote a book about Bear Bryant, but he's a booster. He helps contribute money to that Bear fine university, and he's an Alabama fan.
Imagine that.
And lastly, Coach, you're familiar with this. The schedule For the last several years, Alabama seems to get all the easy teams, whereas we have to play the difficult teams. Should it be a surprise that Mr. Womack, the SEC official schedule writer, is an Alabama graduate? Who'd have thunk it, Coach?
Who'd have thunk it? Who'd have thunk it?
I want to thank you, Coach, for standing up to the Southeastern Conference and putting the spotlight on the cockroaches and what you did. Because very few people stand up to the SEC, and you did. And I appreciate that. But you know what, Coach? What I have to say to Mr. Slive is this. One thing I learned in life is I'd never stand up and defend stupidity because it makes me look stupid. And what I want to tell Mr. Slive is this. You need to do what my mama told me whenever I'd say something stupid, trying to defend things. She used to tell me, you need to go back to your room and come back whenever you have something better to say and that's more logical than what you say. So what I say, Mr. Slive, is you need to do the same about these issues. And I want to thank you for what you're doing, Coach.
Well, thank you very much. You know, in the middle of the season, whatever schedule that we have at this point, I'm looking forward to, so you know. And some of the games that we've played, I've really enjoyed. But I think when you look at the long-term advantages of schedule and disadvantages, and to repeat those advantages and to repeat those disadvantages for member institutions, that it becomes very difficult to say, oh, it's fair.
Well, thank you, Coach, because you know what? Thanks to you, I'm going to get to see LSU play Vanderbilt and Kentucky sometime in my lifetime. Coach, I have a question. Tosh Jones, I haven't seen him a lot. Seems like he's been having some health issues or some problems. We really would like to see him in the future. Can we expect to see him anytime this year?
Yeah, you know what? And there's a really good player that's not played significant football for us. And what's happened is he got a very significant hamstring.
Here he is. He is always last, but he's never least. Here he is, the evil twin.
Coach, people always ask me why I smile all the time and I'm always positive. And my grandfather actually said it best. My grandfather was actually orphaned at the age of 5. His father passed away. He had a ruptured appendix, and he was left in the care of his 12-year-old sister. And he ends up getting a business. He had 10 children. And he would say all the time, he'd say, people keep talking about the good old days. And he said, I don't know why, because I never noticed any of them. I never even saw them. And so what I always tell people is this, you know, I'm old enough to where I've been going now I've been to LSU home games now, to every one of them for the last 31 years. And I've actually witnessed a good part of LSU history. And unfortunately, as part of that history, I witnessed 8 losing seasons in 11 years. Back then, you know what? We always were hoping for just 6 wins. But, you know, I kind of blame you, Coach, for what's happened to us, because during your 8 years, you've won an average of 10 games. You've brought us to 3 SEC championship games. You've won 2 of those. You brought us to 2 national championship games, won 1 of those. This year, people call it a bad year. Well, we're actually 7-3 and number 18 in the country. So what I tell people is this. You know, for all these people that are moaning and crying and all misere about what's going on, I have to say, you know, maybe you should have been in Tiger Stadium when I witnessed LSU lose to Southern Miss and have a losing record in front of 30,000 people. And just maybe you should have taken the road trip with Big Ragu, myself, and Evil Twin Sue, my brother, to Arkansas back in 1991 when we fought an LSU team that had 2 wins and 8 losses. We couldn't sit down because there was 1 inch of ice. Curly Holman was our coach. And you know what they did? They put a 500-pound hog in front of us named Big Red that ate yams. And the hog flatulated the fight song. And they scored 35 points on us by halftime. Coach, we were gassed. It's supposed to be against the Geneva Convention, but they can't spell Geneva in Arkansas. So pardon me to all those people that are suffering today. Because, Coach, let me tell you one thing. You know why I smile today? I smile today because thanks to you and thanks to so many people at LSU and our players, these are the good old days.
Thank you very much
for what you do.
Very kind.
Coach, I have a question. Melvin Jones has been moved to fullback from his position at linebacker. Where do you see him play in the future? Do you see him as a fullback, or do you expect him to go back to his position at linebacker?
Well, Melvin's a very talented young player and a guy who's...
Here he is. He's always last, but he is never, ever least. Here he is, the evil twin.
Coach, it's November and the foolishness never ends. This from Jacob from Denton, Texas. I can't wait for the game. Those corn dogs will be shaking in their boots again for another A&M SEC stomping by Johnny Football, Gig'em Aggies. Well, Jacob, this is how the cow eats the cabbage. Number one, you cannot beat us again if you didn't beat us the first time. I know that probably the TVA has not connected all the electricity in Texas yet, and you probably haven't gotten word of the score of last year, and I hate to break the news to you, but LSU defeated Texas A&M and Johnny Football last year in College Station. Not only did we defeat you in football, we defeated you twice in basketball, and we defeated you in baseball as well. So what I have to tell you, Jacob, is this. You know, you do a lot of talking, but you don't do a lot of walking. You remind me of the Slee Stack in the Land of the Lost TV show. And for those young people out there who don't know who the Slee Stack were, there was these tall, reptile-looking creatures that chased around the characters on the TV show. And everybody was supposed to be scared of them. And I had no idea why anyone was scared of them. Because they were very slow and they couldn't catch anybody. And not only that, but when they were lucky enough to catch somebody, they didn't do nothing with you. All they did was put you in a cave and put a rope to try to tie you in on the entrance. So what I got to tell you, Jacob, is this. Come Saturday afternoon, Chaka is going to jump over the rope. And we're going to take you out and your team out and put a loss on you faster than Johnny Football puts down beer at a casino with his mama. Coach, I have a question.
I figured you'd get around to that.
You talked about Mr. Neighbors and Mr. Blue getting their medical red shirts. So as a follow-up question, or what I would like to ask you is, are you applying for anyone else to get a medical red shirt hardship on this team?
I don't.
He is last, but he is never least. The evil twin.
Coach, this is my 21st straight LSU bowl game. And I cannot gather all the stupidity I have to deal with on a yearly basis from the opposing team. This time from senior cornerback from Iowa, B.J. Lowry, who says, and I quote, "If you never turned on the film and heard what media says about SEC teams, you're like those guys are all world. Once you watch the LSU film, you get really, really confident. We're really, really confident right now." Well, Mr. C.J. Lowry, this is how the cow eat the cabbage. You're not the only one that can watch film. You see, I watched your film too, Mr. C.J. Lowry, against Northern Illinois. That's not Illinois. Illinois, where you were defeated at home by Northern Illinois. And I'm going to say this on behalf of the LSU Nation. Having watched that film, I'm very, very confident today, too. You got a big problem, Mr. Lowry, because you see 9 years ago, just up the street here, when Iowa and Kirk Ferentz, when they threw that last-second pass that came in and beat us, you got a problem, because you see what? We got rid of that horrible defensive backs coach we had over here, who was also our head coach, who now they refer to as One-Tick Nick. You don't have him defending the backfield anymore, Mr. Lowry. Mr. Lowry, you see, you watching game film, and I'm going to tell you right now, we're going to be watching you tomorrow. Because you're going to be like the fat man on the trampoline. Something horrible's about to happen, and we all going to be enjoying you watching crumble on down, baby. Can I have a hell yes? Can I have a hell yes? Coach, I have a question.
Wow. I'm telling you, it's magnificent.
Coach, I know we had a lot of injuries. We had Mr. Gerald Hawkins that went down to injury. We had Mr. Beckham went down to injury. We had a lot of injuries out there. Got a new freshman quarterback, obviously. How is the health of our team right now?
All the guys that were nicked in the last game have all returned to health and are practicing and preparing and will play in the game.